Hey guys, welcome back to nationalhsfb.com. I'm your host, Larry Godwin. You know my counterpart in the upper right-hand corner of the screen there, Joe Mamone with Prep Gridiron Logistics. Listen, we continue our virtual tour all around the country, interviewing the most prominent head coaches across the country. And Joe, I don't think it gets any more prominent than IMG Academy and their head coach, Billy Miller. Coach, welcome to the program.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Joe, why don't you kick us off with the first question?
And I'm happy to have him on because you know how partial I am to New Jersey guys, residents of the Garden State. Billy, spent a lot of his life in South Jersey. We'll talk about that now, Billy. Educate us, Billy. I mean, we know what you're doing now. We know you've been at IMG, I think, since about 2014.
Yep.
Give us a lesson on who you are, what you're all about, where you came from.
Yep, South Jersey guy. Grew up right outside of Philadelphia. Went to Delran High School. After that, went and played college at Delaware Valley up in Doylestown. After playing, graduated with a business sports management degree. I thought I'd get into the professional field of one of the major sports teams, selling tickets or marketing, whatever. Didn't work out, so I started coaching high school ball, substitute teaching for 3 years. Then I had a chance to go to Rutgers with Greg Schiano. Was there for 3 years with him. And then he took the Tampa Bay job. I went with him, so we were there for 2. After that, we got let go. I went to New England on a scouting contract for 5 months and helped him get through the draft and evaluate free agents. And during that process, I met Chris Winkie, who was running IMG football at the time, and came down, visit with Chris, and been here since April 2014.
And Billy, the connection there is I was a graduate assistant coach at Florida State from 90 to 92. And our staff recruited Chris. I mean, when he checked into Florida State his freshman year, I lived in the room next to him at Burt Reynolds Hall at Florida State. And then, all the stuff happened with his baseball contract and he decided to play baseball. Yep. So, that's a connection I didn't know we had.
Yeah, great guy. I still talk to him to this day. He comes down here, recruits, and special person.
He sure is.
So, Coach, you spent some time in college. You spent some time in the NFL level, like you just said. You find yourself at a high school program, but IMG Academy is no ordinary high school program. You guys have some of the most elite athletes in the world. So, how do you compare, I guess, the college ranks with IMG Academy? Is there any difference? Because those players are some of the top players in the country.
Yeah, it's the same thing. We value at mostly kind of like a college job. Right. So we're game planning and all we do is football. Right. So we're not teaching classes. So like your normal regular high school coach that, might have to teach a lesson or do a weight room class, but we're all football. So all day, every day, we're either evaluating talent, working on our schemes and fundamentals, watching our film, studying NFL college film, see what we can do better.
Billy, how many teams do you have? I know a year or two ago you had 4. Are you still at that number or is it 3?
No, we got 4. So we got a post-grad team. We have our national team. And then we have 2 varsity teams, varsity white and varsity blue.
Yeah, I saw the varsity white and blue schedule came out today, and I retweeted it from our site. Hey, Larry, let's go over the last 9 years. 2014. All right. I believe, is that when Chris that was his first year, right?
No, it was 2013.
2013. All right. So 2014, I have from that point on, 77-5 since 2014. Over the last 9 seasons, the rankings. Let's look at your rankings from 2014 up until last year. Nationally ranked number 24, 8, 4, 2, 3, 7, 2, 19, 9. Again, that's off of Cal Preps. We do know you were a mythical national champion that COVID year. Most polls had you number 1 that 8-0 season. Larry, in the last 9 seasons, they only have 5 losses, and it's only to 4 teams.
Yeah.
It's Miami Central last season. It's St. Francis twice. It's Mater Dei and St. John's College out of D.C. Can any other team in America claim those numbers? I don't think so.
No, there's no way. I mean, it's the numbers don't lie. And Coach, that would lead me to my next question. Some people would say IMG is that successful because they have the top athletes in the country, but you guys do you serve a unique role for these student athletes? You know, these athletes, when they come to you, it's not like they need even more exposure. I think last time I heard, there was a South Georgia kid. I think Chad Masco was quarterback, moved down to IMG Academy. These guys have lots of offers. So what does IMG Academy do differently for these student athletes?
Well, we got great people here in the building, right, and across the campus. So everyone who touches our kids, from football to academics to our APD staff to campus life, everyone that really pours into each and every kid. And the way we go about our business, right? So not every kid comes in here as a big time recruit. We got KJ Osborne, who was one of our first teams that, you know, maybe was a 2-star kid, graduated, went to Buffalo, then had a grad transfer, went to Miami. Now he's a second, third receiver for the Vikings, right? So the development that we pour into the kids each and every day, how we go about our business, how we teach the kids the game of football, right? Sit in meetings, how to take notes, how to watch film, how to critique themselves. Just our whole process of what we do and how we do it and why we do it has played a huge impact for the kids.
Let's look at your 2023 roster, Coach. Again, this is off of 247 Sports. 15 seniors that are 3-star or higher. Got 2 5-stars, 10 4-stars, 3 3-stars. Those are only the seniors. On the junior class 25, you have 8 players starred 3 or higher, 7 4-stars, Larry. 7 4-stars and 1 3-stars. Out of the top 100 recruits in America per 247, they have 7% of them. 7 out of the top 100 are IMG on the roster at number 4, number 10, number 39, 75, 84, 86, 99. Coach, when we watch you this season, and we're going to be seeing you a lot. You know, you're on your games are going to be broadcast nationally on several channels. Tell us, we know the big names, the 2 biggies, Ellis Robinson, David Stone. Other than those 2, tell us other names to keep an eye out. Maybe some under the radar players.
You know, we got a couple more guys coming in. So that's, you know, the 7% of probably today's rankings, but
it is as of this morning.
Yeah, we got more coming. So I'll start with the young guys like Zach Fort, right? Zach played a lot for us last year as a freshman. Tremendous character, great kid, great family. Actually named him a captain before the last game last year. First time in IMG football history on the national team there's been a freshman captain.
Wow.
So big things from him. Pepe, big left tackle, right tackle, swing guy for us. He's another 2026 guy. He's highly recruited now. So guys like that. We have a bunch of juniors, you know, like Donovan Johnson and Donovan Ulubode, guys that played for us last year that, you know, are going through the system again for a second time now. You know, so those guys come right off the hat. But I mean, there's a lot of guys. I don't want to get too deep into it because everyone that's on our team plays a huge impact, right? Whether it's offense, defense, or in the kicking game, right? We're going to carry about 50 to 60 guys, so each of them will have a role on our team. But those guys, you know, stick out right now.
Coach, you know, Joe and I were talking before you joined us on air about your background, and it looks like just the brief experience profile that's on the IMG Academy website. I mean, special teams appears to be near and dear to your heart.
Yep.
Right. So Joe kind of jokingly said, I know one thing, IMG is never going to have a problem with their kicking game. So
we hope not.
So what kind of education or what kind of coaching specifically do you put into these different position groups? Do you guys like bring in the best of the best coaches around the country, or how does that work?
Yeah, we got great coaches on staff. You know, we look for the right fit, right? We're looking for guys that love football and love kids and want to develop kids, right? I want guys that want to be here at the academy. As you can tell, I've been here for a long time. This place is very special to me. I'm not looking to bring in a coach that wants to be here for the name and try and get the next job. You know what I mean? So I want guys that are good football minds, great people that really want to help kids. And that's what it's all about, right? It's why we do what we do.
Coach, let's talk about your schedule. It's funny, all the detractors out there. There's a lot of them, a lot of purists that for whatever reasons think IMG is hurting the game. They always say, you know what? Eventually they'll get phased out. Nobody's going to schedule them. They're going to go into the pasture. Blah 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 blah. 2023 schedule, 11 games. It's the most you've had since 2016, I believe. Let's go over the schedule week by week. All right. So at Lipscomb Academy in Nashville, happy to say that's going to be one of our games on the Flow Football channel. At St. Joe's Prep, going back to South Jersey, Ocean City to play on a neutral field. At Thompson, Alabama. That's going to be a good one. I love, the state of Alabama has stepped up a lot lately and played
they really
IMG. Have. Really, it's awesome. Phoenix City Central, Thompson, Hoover a couple of times.
Yeah,
Am I missing somebody?
We played Auburn.
Yeah, Auburn. That was a hell of a game, that Auburn game.
Yeah.
Kudos to the state of Alabama for stepping up. You got these so-called powerful states like California who have this rule now where they won't play you. And quite honestly, that's one of the reasons St. John Bosco did not win our national rank, our number one positioning last year. We gave it to Miami Central because they did play you and they beat you at home. Kudos for Bama to step up when teams like California won't. Then you go to Indiana. Again, another Flow football game, we're happy to say. We know Indiana recently changed their rules. Before, they could not play any team in America that was located 300 miles from the Indiana border. Now that rule has changed where they could host anybody from anywhere in America, which is awesome. Can't wait for that game. You're hosting Glenville, Ohio. A lot of Ohio teams have stepped up in the past to play you, including LaSalle and now Glenville. And I love that 3 Florida schools scheduled you. 3 public schools in Florida scheduled you. You're going to Bartram Trail up in the Jacksonville area. You're hosting Pine Forest. You're hosting Ida Baker. Then you have Life Christian coming in from Richmond, Virginia. St. Thomas More from Connecticut, which is a good program, man. They're bringing in a ton of great athletes I've been seeing. And then the granddaddy of them all that we all look forward to every year. It's always one of the last games of the season. You're hosting St. Francis Academy, which has become a really, really great season-ending rivalry of late. So talk about the scheduling process, how you're convincing these teams, if you do have to convince them, how you're getting them down there or how you're getting them to agree to host you.
Yeah, it's just a lot of back and forth communication. I think a lot of it, it's just building relationships, right? We want to play the best teams out there that want to play us. So we got lucky to play Lipscomb for the first time. Going to Nashville will be exciting. I know they 15-0 last year, great program. So Kevin Mawai is the new head guy, and looking forward to going there for that trip and playing those guys. Obviously, going back to Ocean City, I used to go there in the summer times. So I've been in Ocean City High School, all the time, training, walking on the boardwalk and everything. So playing St. Joe's Prep, we're really happy to have them back on the schedule. We played them in 2019 up at Rutgers. They do a phenomenal job, play really hard, coach really well. So we're excited for that game. I think the game's going to be on ESPN.
Yep.
And then we play them on a Saturday night. We'll fly back to Bradenton on Sunday morning, and then we fly out Wednesday to go to play Thompson on Thursday night. So it's a quick turnaround. Mm-hmm. They've been great communicators and getting on the phone with these guys and getting the game done. It's we've been trying for a while, and it finally worked out. And so then playing them on Thursday night, then playing Ben Davis in Indiana. We got a couple Indiana guys on staff here that as soon as that rule broke, they were on making calls.
Hey, Coach, same here. The 2 states that have annoyed me, again, as the number 1 scheduler and promoter of high school football games in America, the 2 states that were the hardest to work with were always Indiana and Michigan, and both have lifted those dumb rules. Yeah. Now, again, it's a little. They could host anybody on earth. However, if they want to travel, they still have to stay within 3 miles of their border. For instance, I have St. Joseph's from New Jersey playing Cass Tech, one of the best public schools in the Detroit area. St. Joe's didn't want to bus, they didn't want to fly. It was just too expensive. So what we did is we found a midway point where it was close enough for St. Joe's to bus, and it was close enough where it still met the rules of Michigan. So we're playing at Youngstown State University. Perfect. Which is great. A year ago, that game never would have been able to happen. So kudos to the associations in Michigan and Indiana for getting rid of those archaic rules that were, in my opinion, stifling the best programs in their states.
That's right. So
then you host Glenville, right? After
and then we host Glenville. We'll have a bye week after that. We go to Bartram Trail. Real happy to play Bartram Trail. Those guys do a great job. Finished really high in the state of Florida last year, so excited to go up there and play those guys. Pine Forest coming down here to play us. We're going to Ida Baker, right? So I have 3 Florida teams back to back to back, right? Speaks volume for the state, and those guys stepping up and wanting to play, and it's going to be a great series, great 3-game stretch for us. And Life Christian coming down. That coach has been awesome to work with, David Fitzgerald. He's been great to work with to come down here. St. Thomas More comes down every year, right? A lot of respect for those guys. They do a great job. And then obviously the last game is the team from Maryland. So we're excited for those guys to come down here again. Obviously, it's a great rivalry. So our kids always are up for the task.
Yeah, and last year in that game, Coach, we talked about special teams and how that's your forte. That was a difference in last year's game. If you watched the St. Francis game and you went to University of Maryland, every time they had to punt, you got the ball in their side of the field. When you punted, they were starting, inside their 20. So special teams in those big games, whether you're playing, St. Francis or St. Joe's Prep or Lipscomb, the special teams are going to be the difference in a lot of these outcomes. So kudos to you for having that high on your priority list every year.
Yep. Thank you,
Joe. I bet you that Coach Miller's going to have his special teams guys prepared for every game. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
Coach, you mentioned just a couple minutes ago, you're talking about teams and on the schedule, and Joe mentioned I think St. Francis, and you talked about I guess maybe a rivalry developing. Who are the rival? If you would consider all the teams that you guys play with, who would you consider the rivals of IMG Academy?
Yeah, it's definitely the team from Maryland. Every year they want to play us, we want to play them. We would love to have a better rivalry with some teams down in Miami. Sometimes they don't want to schedule us now. So, but if we could get more Florida schools, especially like St. Thomas Aquinas, to play us and play the top 5 Florida teams every year, it'd be great for the state.
Coach, can you imagine? I mean, again, we've had this conversation with Jude Joseph from Miami Central. He knows he won our national championship because of that victory. We tell people the formula, if you want to be nationally ranked or nationally relevant, the formula is to win your state and to have at least 1 or 2 elite out-of-state victories. That's the formula to be a top 10 team. Anybody could do it if they set their heart to it. The fact that St. Thomas Aquinas, won't play you. I mean, Chaminade Madonna, in my opinion, should be playing you. Cardinal Gibbons, American Heritage. If those 5 teams played those 4 games every year, 2 to 4 games, and one of you went undefeated, that team's going to be, if not the national champ, a top 5 team in America. The formula is really easy. Unfortunately, we're having a hard time finding those with the courage to do such.
Yep, I agree.
Coach, a while ago you talked about the different teams that you had. You had a national team. I can't remember all the things that you said. You had a national team, at least 2 varsity teams. Let's talk about why do you just have more athletes than you can handle, and you put them on different teams to get them game experience, and you promote them to the national team, or how does that work?
Yeah, sometimes kids will get moved up to the national team. We have about 100 total kids in the total program, right?
Wow.
So really just Kyle Bray and his staff do a really great job. They do a good job of scheduling more local teams. So they'll play Sarasota, they'll play Venice, they'll play Manatee, Radiant River, right? And where we're trying to go play the top 25 teams in the country, or the best teams that will play us, right? So, yeah, a lot of development on those levels. Again, we're all meeting at the same time. We're all practicing at the same time, right? It's a total program. But yeah, about 180 kids in the total program. So we want to get everyone playing reps, right? No one wants to come and, to the academy and not play, right? So we got enough guys for the 2 varsity teams as well. So those kids want to get on the field just like everybody else.
Hey, Coach, if my son went down there and he played on either the blue or white team and he was a standout, do those kids get like college offers too, whether it's D3, D2, NAIA, that sort of thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Those guys are getting Power 5 offers as well. We got a quarterback on the varsity program right now. He's got a couple offers, receivers, DBs, every position, right? It's just like any other, high school team. We just got 4 of them.
And how about the post-grad program? How does that operate?
Yep. So the post-grads, they come in, really started right after COVID when a lot of seniors lost their senior year. So the post-grad team comes in, they get guys from all over the place. Could it be, someone looking to get more film, or someone maybe had an injury and needs, more film from that aspect. But those guys are getting Division I offers as well.
Coach, when you have these guys, they'll go off and they'll be stars at major universities, go off to the NFL. How many of those guys come back? And I don't know if contributes the right word to the program, but how many of them give back or talk to your players, or how does that work? I mean, we ask this question of just about every coach to come on here, and I'm always surprised at how many kids come back to give back to their program. I'm assuming it's the same way at IMG. How do you see that?
Oh yeah. So when guys come back in the off season, when they're lifting or training, whether in the St. Pete, Tampa area, they always stop in. We actually had Savion Smith was here on Friday. He's playing for the Detroit Lions now, so he was in. And then during training camp, we try and get our alumni on a Zoom call. So we'll have a team meeting, right? We'll have 3 or 4 guys on a Zoom call, and us coaches will leave, right? And we'll say, hey, you can ask these guys anything you want. They've been in your shoes. So our guys love it. The alumni that get on the Zoom calls and, talk to our kids, they do a great job of, just being real with them. And, you got to face it. Kids that come to IMG are away from home for the first time, right? So they're dealing with that. They're learning a lot of football, right? They're also going to school, right? They're also dealing with recruiting, social media, all that aspects, right? So we have guys that have been there, done that are now playing on Sundays, right? That can help, guide them through, what their journey was like here.
Coach, tell us about, I read somewhere, one of the Florida posters on our nationalhighschoolfootball.com site posted that the Florida State Association, I don't know if they developed new rules or maybe coming out with new rules that may include you playing in the playoffs. Is that true?
Yeah, I saw it posted as well. I haven't had any discussions about it yet. So we'll see what the future holds.
That would be great. That would be great for fans. That would be great for the entire game. At the most elite levels, that would get you playing those teams we just spoke about, at the highest levels. And like I said, if one of those teams in the end, or a couple of them are play each other and one's undefeated, that's a national champ in my book, or at least a top 5 team. Is there any, there are a couple of states out there who have this idiotic academy rule, Georgia, California. Have you heard, is there any way those rules are going away? Are there any states that you've heard of might be implementing them, or what are you hearing about it? Is it a dead issue right now?
Yeah, to me, it's, we don't really talk about it. We're just focused on the teams that do want to play us, and we're fortunate to be able to play great teams like we are this year.
Coach, when a player comes to IMG Academy, I'm assuming that they're superstars on they're basically the big fish on a little pond. But when they come to IMG Academy, they're surrounded by other big fish. So I'm assuming there's sometimes an adjustment period. How do y'all help those athletes get acclimated to being around a bunch of superstars?
Yeah, the biggest thing is you got to love to compete, right? You could have been the manager of high school, but we got dudes all all up and down our roster.
Yeah.
Right. So the biggest thing for our kids is coming in and learning to compete every day. The jobs are won in the classroom first, and so you got to know what to do, and then going out there and doing it on the field, right? So competing is our number one thing that we love to do here, and that's how guys, they got to earn it every day, right? So right now, no one has a starting spot, right? Whoever, when they report in July, everyone will earn their job, and we'll go from there. It's a day by day, week by week basis, and no job safe.
Coach, I know because of the high profileness of the program and the school and just the IMG name in general, I know a lot of parents call you trying to, learn more about the program and how you could benefit their sons or daughters in every sport. Pitch me, if I made that call, tell me about how's that discussion going? Are you talking about the great academics? Are you talking about obviously the great programs, whether it's football or basketball or tennis or golf? Give me a role play. Pretend I'm one of those parents. What are you pitching me?
Yeah, the biggest thing we're going to pitch is the community, right, and what it stands for, the core values of IMG Academy. Then we'll talk about the football part. We'll talk about the development piece of it. We'll talk about the daily schedule and how it marries up to college, right? We practice in the morning because of the Florida heat and obviously the tropical storm, so we don't want to lose practices. How we learn, right? How we teach, everything that we teach a kid, right? It's going to be shown on by a PowerPoint example or a Visio example. There'll be a film clip of it being done in practice or in a drill setting, and then a game example of it, right? So everything that we show, we're showing you why we're doing something. We're never going to tell you to do something, right, with not having video proof of it, right? So then just the development part, and obviously preparing for the next level, right? If your son wants to come here and play football, right, he has to love football, right, 100%. And then obviously just setting yourself up for the future. Right. We have a lot of guys that have been drafted, 18 since 2018. So, and 37 guys have signed NFL contracts. So if you love football and you love the process, right, this is the place for it.
Coach, your guys obviously are in high demand. D1 football is just getting so ultra competitive now. I'm sure your guys are in high demand. How do you manage the day-to-day recruiting efforts from these major college programs?
Yeah, a lot of it takes care of itself with social media. We'll have a couple coaches that will call and say, hey, I want to offer this guy, or, but a lot of it's done on social media. I'll get a lot of text messages. Hey, coach, I'm going to offer so-and-so today, stuff like that. But, all of our guys are in high demand, right? It's tough if we got 60 guys on the team, they're all getting offers.
That's right.
It's the Excel spreadsheet of guys that have offers is pretty big, right? So there's a lot of cells there.
Hey, Coach, have you ever added up from player 1 through 60? Have you added up all their offers to come up with one number? Is it like 800 or something?
Yeah, probably close, right?
Think about it. If you have 60 players and they each average 30 offers, what's that? 1,800.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a huge number, and I was happy to hear. I had no idea that the blue and white players were going, we're easily getting college offers at that level too. That's awesome to hear.
They're getting Power 5, Group of 5, Ivy, Patriot League offers. Those guys are all getting offers. I haven't calculated all the offers yet, but I do know that I calculated our NFL contracts.
Yeah.
$123 million in NFL contracts just by the guys who have been drafted.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Coach, listen, given those numbers, I'm 52, but sign me up. I'm in. I'm in.
Hey, Billy. Billy. It's funny. Every time we do one of these Q&As, Larry always offers the head coach the opportunity to come down and play lounge. He hasn't done it yet today.
I'm not doing it, Joe.
You're lucky.
Listen, man, I know. I know when I've bitten off more than I can chew. Okay,
you're going to get away with it this call because they're not permitted to. But
yeah, we would have been playing Grayson a couple years ago. It was a great.
That was a great game.
ESPN.
That was a really good game. Yeah.
Coach, one thing that Joe just brought up, Georgia. One of the things that is starting to be talked about the high school level in Georgia. I can't believe we're talking about this now, but the governing body is starting to talk about how they're going to manage NIL at the high school level. Have y'all had to run into that yet?
Not yet. No,
Not
we've
yet,
had
okay.
some kids that always ask about it, but it's not legal here in the state of Florida yet. So once it is, we'll come up with a plan.
Okay.
Coach, what are you looking for in 24 and beyond? I mean, I know your goals are lofty every year. You want to win a national championship every year, but have you had to sit down with, the leaders there, and what is the goal for the football program? Is it a fifth team? Is it the continue status quo? What I mean, you've reached so many great plateaus in wins and championships and the high profileness of your program. What is there left to achieve in 2024 and beyond from your perspective?
For us, it's just the continued growth and development of the kid, right? Maybe how can we get better at what we already do, right? So going and studying places. Me and the staff were at a couple NFL facilities the past couple of weeks, just seeing what they do from a day-to-day standpoint, right? How can we meet better? How can we practice better? Taking advantage of all the time that we do, and just obviously heavy focus on the kid, right? I think mental health is a big issue nowadays, right? And obviously checking in with kids. How can we do a better job making sure everyone's in the right frame of mind? And if they're not, how do we get them help, right? How do we take care of the kid that may be struggling athletically, socially, anything, right? How do we make sure that the kids are good to go? Obviously they're away from home from mom and dad, right? So it's even a heavier burden for us than making sure that some kid's safe, he's happy, he's in a good state of mind, and he loves the academy.
Coach, we talked about the future of the kids. Let me talk about you for a second. Let me ask you a personal question. So, Billy Miller, I'm looking over this profile. I mean, your resume is impeccable. Experience at college, experience with in the NFL, experience with one of the best programs in the country. You're a pretty relatively young guy. What's next for Billy Miller?
I don't know about that, Larry. It's just, I got a 5 o'clock Zoom call after this with you guys. I got 2 young boys at home. I have a really supportive wife at home. I live about an hour and a half away from IMG. So, this place has been great to me. My whole family is invested in it. It's the longest place I've ever been, job wise. I'm fortunate to be here. The future is out of my control, right? It's in God's hands, right? So I'm here now. It's where my feet are. It's what I'm focused on. Before this call, I was building our training camp schedule and actually our travel itinerary for Lipscomb, booking flights and hotels. And, I'm all about the academy and the guys that we have on this team, the staff. And there's a lot of people that I have to manage, a lot of guys that I'm in control of.
Hey, Billy, I just got back from Nashville. I was at CMA Fest last week.
Thanks for the invite.
You better.
Coach, I said the same thing too.
Hey, you better keep everybody focused because there's a lot of distractions in Nashville. Trust me.
Yeah. There's a lot of distractions everywhere, Joe. I mean, come on, the social media is a distraction, right? We're trying to obviously limit distractions. But yeah, Nashville's probably
that's going to be great. I love that. I was a little worried when Trent left to go to UAB that maybe the program would take a step back, but Kevin really, wants to continue to play the best. Whenever I go to Nashville, I try to meet with them or at least speak with them. And I'm really excited about that game. That weekend, that's Flow Football's kickoff weekend, August 18th and 19th. So the top 3 games we have St. Francis going to Buford on Friday night. We have your game against Lipscomb, and then I'll be down with Larry. We have a doubleheader, the Georgia-Carolina Challenge, where we have Dutch Fork against Colquitt and Christ School out of North Carolina against Lowndes. So it's a great, great weekend to kick off high school football on the Flow Football channel, and we're glad that you're going to be a part of it in Nashville.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. He's hired a great staff down there too.
He sure has.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Joe, listen, I'm going to say this in one time and one time only. And I'm only going to say this, Coach, because of the Georgia rules in place. We ain't afraid of IMG Academy.
You're not.
Okay, now
your program's not, but your program's not, Larry, but your association is.
True that.
Yeah. So,
Coach, you've seen a lot of good football in your time there at IMG, obviously. So you said that St. Francis is probably your considered biggest rival now. What's been your funnest moment on the sideline coaching all these fantastic athletes? Anything come to mind?
I would say back in 2014 when we were building it, we played a couple teams from New Jersey that came down here, and no one really knew who we were, right? So we were beating top 10 ranked teams, and we weren't even ranked yet. Or, we're ranked really.
Yeah, Larry, that year, Coach, 2014, you finished around number 24, 25, depending on the poll.
Yeah.
And you really been a stalwart in the top 10 ever since.
Yeah, so we played like Brandon Wimbush and Minka Fitzpatrick came down here, and we beat these guys we weren't supposed to win, right? So that's like when it kind of started. Okay, we got we're going to get this thing rolling, and the future was bright. But I remember coming in the locker room after that game, after beating those guys, and celebrating with the team. And but yeah, there's been a lot of special moments on
Coach, I remember as a Jersey guy, I've been to all the Jersey games. I remember at Bergen Catholic. Remember that game? It was like 52-48 final.
Yep.
It's like the team who had the ball last was going to win, and you guys won.
Yeah, we had to fake a punt actually to seal the victory.
Yeah. But all those, as a product of Northern New Jersey, I'm real proud that every game you've played against Northern New Jersey, Paramus Catholic, St. Joe's, Bergen, Peters, they've all been really tight games and competitive. And I'm glad other states are stepping up. New Jersey has stepped up. We talked about Alabama earlier stepping up. If we can get Georgia, California, the other great teams in Florida step up, I think the game will be better. And, that's my goal as the number one promoter of the game in America. So we're going to keep working hard for you, try to get this schedule up next year from 11 games, maybe to 12 or higher. And hopefully the best is yet to come.
Yeah, we'd love to play 12, 13 games, whatever we can do. And that Bergen game was great, right? It was a great atmosphere on the road. I would just love to play teams like that, good football programs, right, that care about kids, that, will play games, right? At the end of the day, it's play football.
Yeah, and at the minimum, the elite power privates really should be playing each other. St. Joe's Prep, you guys, the DC teams, the Jersey teams, throw in an Aquinas or a Madonna, these it's great that you have some publics on your program, but in a perfect schedule, I'd love for there be a bunch of power privates on there too, along with the power publics.
Yep.
And that's what we're working towards. Again, you have a more game schedule this year than you have since 2016, which is great. Again, the best is yet to come. More and more teams are seeing the benefits of playing you, win or lose. You could beat a team by 35, but two of their players have a great game against your players. Their phones are going to be ringing off the hook that following Monday morning with offers.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, we just need to play all the games, right? So we got 11 scheduled, right? Yep. I mean, there's already a tropical depression forming in the Atlantic right now. We just need to keep all the storms away.
Exactly.
Right, and be able to play all those games. We're looking forward to it.
Yep.
Joe, the last question I've got for Coach is this one, Coach. We've talked about all the positives that you've got going on, and this is not meant to be a negative question, but I'm sure that you wake up every morning with some challenges. So what are some of the biggest challenges you have to overcome as a program?
It's everything changes day to day, right? Our biggest challenge really is just making sure that the kids are studying football the right way, right? So we want to make sure that they're, if you make a mental error or miss assignment one day on Monday, you learn from it Monday night, you don't do it again on Tuesday, right? Again, taking kids that aren't used to being away from mom and dad for the first time, right? So they feel like they have a little bit more freedom, but because there's no one's telling them to go study at 7:00 at night, but our coaching staff does a good job of putting arms around kids and bringing our families around. You'll see our kids running around here all the time. My son, Brady, loves being here and hanging out with all the guys. And, Coach Grimes brings his son around too. So we create that family atmosphere. But the biggest thing is just making sure that, we're really guiding these young men the right way and taking care of them. We're their coaches, but we kind of feel like that cool uncle that knows a lot about football, that we can talk to them, because we just want to make sure that we're a part of someone's family when they're not here.
And Larry, I could attest to that. I was on vacation in Longboat Key a couple of months ago, and I took a ride to visit, and Coach gave me a tour of the campus. It was awesome. And you saw that family community. You saw the coaches' kids there. You saw the athletes of different sports commingling together and hanging out. And it was a great atmosphere. And, when you go on social media and a lot of the detractors and the haters spread these rumors, if they only knew the truth, it would change their opinion within milliseconds. So, Coach, you got two fans here of your program. We're going to keep helping you from a PGL perspective and a Flow football perspective to get you to the promised land. We appreciate your time. This is going to be this Q&A was very, very informative, and I know it's going to help get the truth out and the facts out to everybody that wants to learn more about IMG, what you're all about, and how you could help their kids, your student athletes, and help the game of high school football at the elite levels even further. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. And Joe, it's great having you down here. Obviously, this place is beautiful, right? So
it sure is.
Beach and Larry, whenever you're in town, even though you're a Georgia guy, you can come down and check it out. And
Appreciate your comments, Coach. And Coach, listen, I'm right along with you. When Joe told me that he attended that CMA festival, my first question was, where was my phone call? Where was my ticket? So maybe next year we can both, all three, hang out at the CMA.
Hey, now that I know you both are country music fans, that invite will come.
Sounds good. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, if you've enjoyed our conversation with Coach Miller today, check out all our other interviews. And better yet, check us out on our national website, nationalhsfb.com, because the football discussion never stops. Coach Miller, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care.